Okay, we are on for some scoliosis and back pain exercises today. First thing we're going to do is actually lie down. Oh, that sounds nice, doesn't it? So get a little mat, use the carpet, whatever you want. We're going to lie down. We're going to go through some of those somatic exercises we did yesterday. And we're going to start to link some of the exercises for the past 3 days. We're going to link them together more into a flow, okay? So we're starting by lying down, and one thing to do in this beginning of this is to actually lie down and just relax for a second and take stock. Scan your body in your mind's eye and feel like, oh, is there tension in my hip, and my knees, my feet? Scan your lower body, and then come up to your back and say, well, is one bit putting more pressure onto the ground than the other? Is there an ache as I lie down? Is one shoulder blade uncomfortable? Is my neck in pain? And then do the front of your body as well. How's my stomach? What am I feeling? Just get a sense of what's going on before we even start. And this is a good reference point because we can do this at the end of these somatic exercises and see if there's a difference. Okay, bend your knees, 90 degrees, feet flat on the floor. Take a deep breath in. As you breathe in, let your belly expand and let your pelvis rock down towards your feet. And as you breathe out, let your spine go down towards the mat and your belly kind of gets small. So you breathe in, belly gets big, rocks down this way. And then as you breathe out, comes this way. So imagine this. Imagine there's like you have like a pole or something balanced on your belly. You're balancing something on your belly. As you breathe in, the pole would fall down this way. And then as you breathe out, it would come back up this way. Or another way to imagine it is imagine there's a rolling pin going through your hips. And you're grabbing either side of the rolling pin. And as you breathe in, you're twisting that rolling pin down towards your feet. And as you breathe out, you're twisting that rolling pin back up. Good. We're going to do a few more of these. These should be very simple and light. But as always, if you're feeling pain, slow it down, don't go quite so far, and maybe just stop the exercise. Good, and what you'll notice as well is something happens in your neck. So as you breathe in and extend, your chin will tuck in. As you go the other way, your chin might pop out a little bit, because there's this sort of wave that goes up and down the spine with these exercises. Perfect. Okay. Now we're going to bring the feet together and you're going to let your knees drop out either side as you breathe in. So breathe in, arch that lower back. You can see probably there's a little gap under here, and then breathe out. Bring the knees back together. Breathe in, breathe out. Good. Now we're going to do something with the hands. So put the hands down by your side, but maybe 12 inches, 30 centimeters away from your hips. Point your thumbs up towards the ceiling. And as you breathe in, you're going to externally rotate your hands. That means take your hands outwards so the palms are pointing outwards. You're going to feel your shoulder blades come in towards each other when you do that. Okay, so breathe in, let your knees go down, take your shoulder blades towards each other, turn the palms out. Now breathe out, bring your knees back together, and then turn your hands all the way in. So it's the opposite movement. You can let your shoulder blades and your tips of your shoulders come off the ground. So breathe in, and then breathe out. And breathe in, and breathe out. And breathe in, and breathe out. Good. Because we're training the nervous system here, you really don't need to do a huge amount of reps. It's not 20 reps. It's more like 5 to 10. Okay, I want you to get up from here. And one way to do that is to let both knees drop onto your side and let your shoulders go with your knees as well, so you're not twisting your back. From here, you place one hand on the side. You push up onto this hip. From here, I'm in a sitting position, and I can either turn to go onto my knees. On my knees, then I can step up, or you can get up in any way that suits you. Okay, I want you to get a chair for this next bit now. So while you're getting a chair, I'm going to just check something on the video. We just need a chair to sit on. Okay, good morning, Marilyn. Hope you're doing well. All right, so we're sitting on a chair. Now we're going to do our cogs. Now our cogs, we've done them before, but we've done them standing. But sitting actually gives a little bit more control to your pelvis. So it's very similar to the exercise we've just done. Put your hands down by your side, thumbs pointing forward. Breathe in and then bring your hands and shoulder blades back. Tuck your chin in a little bit on this one. And you'll feel yourself rocking onto the front of your pelvis. We're looking for that back extension. Then breathe out. And allow yourself to slump into a bad posture. Stick your chin out a little bit like this. Imagine there's a book on top of your head. So breathe in. So upright, sort of hyper-extended military posture. Breathe out. Relaxed. I'm playing on my iPad and I'm 7-year-old posture. Breathe in. Breathe out. Or I'm a teenager posture. Breathe in. And breathe out. And what we're doing here is we're setting the kind of limits of our motion either side. We're saying to the body, hey, you can go this far and you can go this far. Let's hang out in the middle. That's kind of how this works. All right, so that's the forwards and backwards. Now we're going to try the side to side. So the side to side, you're going to lift one hip, keep your head level. And as you're lifting your right hip, you're going to let your, you're going to let your right hand go down. So right hip up, right side down. Good, change sides. Good, I'm just going to move away from the edge here. That's it. So you're letting your spine move left and right. Now it's early in the morning, so you'll feel things stretching, you'll feel things waking up a little bit. Don't push it. Like I feel as though if I go too far for whatever reason this way, I'll get a little grab into my lower back, so just not going too far at the moment. And that's it, just going side to side. Excellent. Warming things up. Imagine there's that book on top of your head. Next thing, we're going to work on our rotations. So to start with, I want you to put your hands on your chest and let your head look over your, in my case, left shoulder, so your left shoulder, and then just rotate left. And then come back, and let the same thing happen to the right. I want you to fix your hips though. Don't let your hips move. And so the fixing of the hips is really coming from the chair. So I find a lot of the time when I'm doing the scoliosis exercises, if I'm letting a person stand up initially, too much movement can go into their hips. So sometimes I get people just to sit down. Okay, now what we're going to do is keep the head facing forwards and we're going to move the thorax. So this is the thorax moving in between the neck and a fixed pelvis. All right, so we're just rotating this way and rotating this way. And you may hear little clicks and pops when you do this, and you may find that one side is harder to do than the other. That's usually to do with your thoracic rotation, because your rib hump is the spine already rotated. So if it's already rotated, it won't have as far to go until it's gone as far as it can. Nice. Okay. So this is giving you a real control of what segments in your spine are moving, and that's key as we build up into the scoliosis exercises. We'll come back to the chair later, so don't go too far with it. Next thing we're going to do now is actually take those exercises we've just done, and we're going to do them standing up. So we are going to start with the sagittal plane movement. So I like to do this against a wall. But for demonstrations, I'm just going to turn to the side here. Your thumbs are going to be pointing forwards, and you're going to turn them backwards like this. You're going to stick your butt out just a little bit, tuck your chin in, lengthen your back. So this would be like the tallest position you can go in. So some, especially kids, excuse me. Some people think that making this is the tallest position they can go in, but it's not. It's actually lifting the back of the head. So you're going to take a deep breath in, stick your butt out, shoulder blades back, and then go the other way. Tuck that pelvis. Remember that rolling pin through here. Tuck the pelvis, chin goes out. Breathe in, breathe out. Breathe in. Breathe out. Just a couple more. Breathe in. Breathe out. Good. Okay. Then we're going to do the side-to-side movements, but this time we're going to take your a leg forward. So, excuse me a second. Hope I haven't got that the virus. I think it's just a cough. All right, we're going to move the hips down to the side like this. So get all Latin on it. Let's take one step forward, allow the hips to drop. Now, as that's happening, my left hip is dropping, and my right hip is dropping here. My opposite side shoulder is going down. So it's boom. Or we could say this one's coming up to meet the shoulder, however you want. My head is remaining still. Now I want you to take your, so in my case, my left foot's going forward, my right hand, I'm going to reach that forward just a little bit. And I'm going to reach my left hand backwards a little bit. So I'm stepping. So I'm essentially just doing one phase of gait whilst exaggerating the movement. This is my step forward in gait, and I'm just exaggerating the movements here. I'm even feeling a stretch up into my neck, which is great because we're stretching through those tight scalene muscles, that upper traps, and all those muscles in the side of the neck. Okay, change sides. Stepping forward, start with just getting that hip to move. So a lot of people, especially in North America, have shut down their hips' ability to move. So you don't see people walking like this, right? You see people with a very fixed pelvis. But actually, when we take a step, there should be just a little bit of a movement there. And if you watch people from other cultures walking, you'll notice that there's a lot more hip motion that happens than happens in North America and Europe. Okay, so stepping forward with your right leg, and you're reaching a little bit with your left hand, and you're taking your right shoulder down to try and meet your right hip as your hip is coming up. This one's going down. That's it. Good. So from the side, I'm stepping, I come back. Stepping, come back. You know, that little hip wiggle, a little bit of sass, that's important to keep the hips mobile and keep that fluid, which is called the synovial fluid, moving around the hip joint, keeping the whole thing lubricated. So yeah, a little bit of movement in the hips is a good thing. Okay, last thing, we're going to do some rotations. So we're going to lock the pelvis, move the chest. We don't need to move the head this time. Keep the head pointing straight, and we're just going to move like this. Now put your hands out at shoulder height. You can link your fingers if you want, and see what happens when you move both hands. That's good. I'm just going one way for a few here, like 4 or 5, and then we're going to go other way. Good. Then other way. Okay, if you notice your pelvis really moving, really try and stop it. So I just noticed that it dragged around this way. So I'm obviously tighter going this way because it pulls my pelvis forward. That's good. Okay, perfect. So we're getting used to this coupling movements and also breaking those couples sometimes. Next thing I want to do is this. We're going to take what we just learnt there through the ground movements, the seated movements, the standing movements, and we're going to put them into action. So I want you to stand on your left foot, or you can mirror me, okay, which will be standing on your right foot. You're going to take your opposite foot out and point it back towards you. So imagine I'm standing on a line here. You can almost see this line of tiles. If I point my foot all the way backwards here, this would be 0 degrees, let's say. But if I just point it here, I'm actually at 45 degrees. So that's what I want you to do. I want you to step out to 45 degrees and bend that knee just a little bit, okay? So this can be tricky for some people, and I know that. I've done this before, and I know what it's meant to look like, but for some of you, just this might be a challenge, which is fine. We're opening up the front of the pelvis here, and we're getting some exercise into this knee, okay? What I want you to do is make your hips, these two bones here and here, the anterior part of the hips here, and your shoulders move in one unit. So you can put your hands on your hips, and then you turn in one unit, okay? If you want to leave your head looking at the camera, like this, or looking at your device, that's fine, because it actually puts some good rotation into your neck. Okay, this is what we will call an in-sync movement. We're moving our shoulders in sync with our pelvis. All right, let's go to the other side. We're stepping out. It's different on the other side, isn't it? Changes things a bit. But just see if you can get your pelvis and shoulders moving in sync with each other. Perfect. All right, now here's the challenge. Put your hands out shoulder height, link them if you want, point them at the screen. You're going to leave them here whilst you take your pelvis into that position, okay? So this is now called an out of sync movement because my shoulders, although they're not moving, are definitely rotating to the left as my pelvis rotates to the right. Whew, let's try the other side. So you should be feeling this to be a challenge. I'm feeling some muscles firing up. I'm having to work my core quite a lot to keep my shoulders still. That's good. And you're going to be feeling muscles up here, up into your shoulders, definitely into your pelvis. You'll feel things opening up into your hips as well. All these are problem areas when it comes to scoliosis because rotation it's a strange thing, but rotation is not something the body can do without thinking about it, right? So imagine this. If I just let gravity win, my head goes down here, I've gone into flexion. If I lean backwards, I've gone into extension. I don't really need to think about that. I don't need to do that because gravity does it for me. If I lean this way, I go into side bending. If I lean this way, I go into side bending. Okay, so if I just relax, do I go into rotation? No, I actually have to think about rotation because gravity does not give us that movement, which is why rotation is such a key movement in arthritis of the hip, in lower back pain, in neck pain. It's always to do, well not always, but mostly to do with rotation because rotation is one of the movements that goes on humans really easily because it's not something we get naturally. So just think about that. This is something that we have to create with our own muscles. Okay, so now what we're going to do is rather than hold the hands still, we're actively going to move them the opposite way to the leg. So my leg's going out this way to the right, my hands are going to try and go to the left, okay? This is going to be a challenge for some of you. Again, if it hurts, don't do it, just hold them still, or even better, point them like almost towards the leg here. That's a good regression. So I'll just say that again. So if this is too challenging for you, that's okay. Point them a little bit towards the leg, and do the movement here like this. If you want the challenge, you're going to move the hands the opposite way, okay? So I'm moving my hands to the left while my right foot steps out. All right, where you go, we're going to do 5 of these. That's 1, good. 2. Your head can, if you want to get a neck stretch in, you point your head where your foot goes. 4, 5, good. Change sides. So now I'm going to my left foot's going left. My hands are going right, okay? So I'm stepping, that's it. And this is not easy, I'll tell you that. But we're working up to this, right? If you've done the last 3 days, this stuff will be easier for you than if you just came today. So I recommend you go back onto the Facebook, scroll down, see where the videos are, go to my YouTube, see where those videos are and work through them in order. Okay, how you feeling? All good? Hope so. Let's see. Okay, we've got a few minutes left, which is perfect. We're going to do a top-down correction for the rotation, because we're sticking with rotation, for a upper reverse C curve or the upper part of an S curve. So let me just show you here. Same diagram as before. This is looking at someone from behind. This is the upper part of the reverse S curve, or it could just be a C curve, that's fine as well, a reverse C curve. These ribs are coming back, this is where your rib hump will be, this is where your shoulder blade will stick out just a little bit. We're going to take these ribs forward whilst pre-correcting this curve just a little bit, and we're going to try and correct this curve under here a little bit. I'm going to sit on something, on this side, which will push up my left hip, which will correct this curve ever so slightly. All right, so I'm going to take a little, it's kind of 1.5 inch lift. I'm going to sit on that. It's slightly squishy, so it's probably only lifting me about 1 inch. And so that's corrected that bottom curve from below. I can correct the rotation a little bit by just angling my pelvis. So that corrects the rotation from below. Now I'm going to take my left hand up over my head and my right ear down to my right shoulder. So I've started to open up the tight side of my upper curve. And then I'm going to put my right hand, back of the hand on the wall, and I'm just going to slide that forward. Now this is what we've been training for, guys. The coordination in your mind's eye of being able to separate and segment out that upper curve so that you don't get rotation down into your lower curve. Or if you've got a C curve, you bring in that rotation towards the apex or the largest piece of the rib hump. That's where you rotate down to. All right, this is good. So I'm feeling stuff in my obliques, which are the muscles down here, because they are firing to bring these ribs forward. I'm opening up the front of my shoulder. You'll notice it's actually getting wider here, so we're not contracting any muscles at the front, which some people feel as though these exercises actually add to the pulling forward of the shoulder, but they don't. They actually open it up. Okay, cool. And stop there. You can do too much of a good thing. You might be sore tomorrow. All right, so today we've gone through the different isolation exercises of segmenting out the flexion extension of the spine, the lateral movement of the spine, and the rotation of the spine. We've built that from a lying down movement, which is not what I would call functional, but we've built that to a lying down, to a seated, to a standing, to a functional movement, and then brought that into a scoliosis specific correction. So it's a really nice little routine to get your spine warmed up and ready for that final correction of the reverse C curve or reverse S curve in the thorax. So great, thanks for joining in, guys, and I hope you really enjoyed this.